Beyond the Badge is brought to you by the Edina Crime Prevention Fund.
Welcome to Beyond the Badge, a program about the inner workings of the Edina Police and Fire Departments. Thanks for joining us. I'm Officer Brian Hubbard. The City of Edina did not have to look far to find its new fire and police chiefs. Former Deputy Police Chief Dave Nelson was promoted to Chief of Police, while former Edina firefighter Tom Schmitz rejoined the city as its fire chief. Edina 16's Dietrich Nissen has more on the new chiefs and what they have to offer the city.
In his 23 years with Edina's police department, Dave Nelson never thought he'd become its chief.
And when Mike Satari was going to retire, Jeff Long was going to be chief. Jeff Long is a couple years younger than me, so when he took over as chief and promoted me to deputy chief, I was under the understanding that I would be retiring before he would.
As fate would have it, Long left for a new job, and Nelson was asked to be the department's interim chief.
At that time, I started thinking about whether or not I could be the chief, and whether or not I had a good enough working relationship with Scott Neal where he would be comfortable promoting me to chief.
It didn't take much digging for city manager Scott Neal to find that comfort. In addition to his experience as deputy chief, Nelson had worked as an investigator, patrol officer, and a school liaison. That experience, coupled with 38 positive interviews from Edina's police officers, led to Nelson's job offer.
I was overwhelmed at just how many people were supporting me. It was a very nice feeling.
I think the relationship between police and fire is excellent, always has been, and I really look forward to working with Dave as the internal guy, because I know Dave, and it's going to be an exciting time for both of us.
21 years ago, Tom Schmitz joined Edina's fire department as a paramedic firefighter. His career actually began back in 1988 when he volunteered with Eden Prairie's fire department. In 2011, Schmitz left Edina and accepted a full-time position as Eden Prairie's assistant fire chief.
It feels like I haven't been gone, more than a couple of weeks.
I think we hired people that understand Edina, and that's first and foremost. It's not something they're going to have much of a learning curve to get to know the community. And I think they're going to be able to hit the ground running. They're going to be able to call on years of experience. We're getting two guys that are really at the top of their careers, both in terms of their experience and their skill, and we're lucky to have them.
And even though there's a familiarity with each department, both men know there are plenty of challenges they'll face as the new chiefs.
One of the big changes or challenges that I'm going to see for the fire department is how the healthcare reform is going to affect our ambulance service, how the reimbursement is going to occur, because all of that is changing.
As the chief, you're more of the mouthpiece for the entire department, and you're getting involved with more of the public groups and getting to know them and build their relationships and their trust with the new chief.
In Edina, Dietrich Nissen, Edina 16.
Both men have already started in their new positions. A new deputy police chief should be announced later this year. Daryl Todd continues to serve as assistant fire chief. Technological advances in the medical field can range from increasing convenience to saving lives. The Lucas II definitely falls into the latter. It is a battery-operated automated CPR device that is an improvement over its compressed air-powered predecessor. In a situation where seconds matter, the more compact Lucas II is faster and easier to deploy. It can perform an entire session of CPR automatically, freeing up key emergency personnel to perform other life-saving tasks. Let's join Officer Aaron White and firefighter-paramedic Pete Knabley for a demonstration of this device in our How's It Work segment.
Thank you, Brian. I'm out at Edina Fire Station number 2 today, and we're here to learn a little bit about a device called the Lucas II. CPR is something that people are pretty familiar with, unfortunately, mostly from TV, but also occasionally in real-life medical situations, and this device is an improvement on that. To talk about that, I'm joined by firefighter-paramedic Pete Knabley. Pete, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this is the Lucas II. Tell me about it. What is this thing?
This is an automatic compression device. It's a Lucas II. It's a second generation device. It's fully battery powered. It's much more compact than the previous one. which ran off compressed air. What this device does is it does automatic chest compressions for any patient who's in full cardiac arrest.
Okay.
That's something that we still rely on people to start for us before we can bring this device and get there. But in the past, we had to have a human doing compressions throughout the entire call. At most, you'd get about 90 seconds to 2 minutes out of any average person, and then you'd have to switch them out, which is, you can imagine, is pretty labor intensive, especially through about a 30-minute
That's kind
call.
of one of those myths, isn't it, of television, that, you know, CPR is just this easy thing we do on all the medical shows
It
and
is.
everything like that. It's hard work.
CPR is very hard work. Most of our patients that we have to do CPR on are not in the peak of health. They're very, very large sometimes, and it requires quite a bit of effort to be doing CPR on them. It also cracks a bunch of ribs. It requires a lot of effort pushing down. This device frees up those people to be doing other life-saving techniques on that patient.
Sure. We're set up here with kind of a simulation. Can you show us how the device works?
Absolutely. The cool thing about this device is that it can be set up around someone doing CPR. So if one of us was doing chest compressions on this patient,
Sure.
we can insert this device right through their arms, right around them, so there's no disruption of compressions. A backboard goes behind the patient's shoulders. Obviously our dummy here does not have arms, but you tuck it up right under the armpits of the patient. A neck strap goes around the neck of the patient. That helps center the device where we want the compressions to be, in the middle of their chest. You turn the device on and this plunger comes and makes contact with the patient's chest. Once the device is set to the proper depth, you simply turn it on. As you can see, the compressions they're the correct interval, the correct time, the correct depth. The device never gets tired.
And a lot more space to work now with the patient.
Yeah, this they put some very unique inventions on here. They have straps here that we can put the patient's wrists into. It helps keep the patient nice and compact, because obviously we have to extricate that patient then from the environment they're in through small doorways up and down stairs. It allows us to do IVs on the patient's arms and keep those IVs free flowing instead of having to belt their arms to their sides or something like that. One other very nice feature about this device is the way it does CPR, the rest of the body stays relatively motionless. We can intubate a patient, we can do intraosseous medications through the legs of the patient while this device is running.
Sure.
In the past, a lot of time we'd have to stop the human compressions in order to put an airway into the patient. Now we can keep the compressions going as we're doing those skills.
Well, it seems like a relatively simple task. This is not only doing it better, but you're freeing those hands. You mentioned that, you know, you're getting them out of the way to do something maybe that's more important in that life-saving.
Yep, it makes a very big difference.
Let's close with this thought, though. We don't want to diminish the value of training for everybody out there, do we?
We do not. This device does a great job, but it has to be brought by us on the ambulance, and that patient, the entire time they're waiting for this device to get there, is not breathing and their blood is not circulating. So what's very, very important for us to know, for us to recognize, and for the public to know is early compressions are very vital for that patient having no neurological deficits.
As technology evolves, it's a wonderful thing, but important. We got to still make those 911 calls, and the more people trained in the community, the better.
Absolutely.
So, thanks for your time today, Pete. That's a great demonstration.
Thanks for having me.
Pete Knabley, a paramedic firefighter with the Edina Fire Department, and we'll return to you in the studio, Brian.
Thank you, Aaron. Now that March is underway, warmer temps are likely on the horizon. Still, taking a dip in a metro area lake would be ill-advised. But that's exactly what members of the Edina Public Safety Team, dubbed the Spider Pigs, intend to do. For the 7th year in a row, Edina Police Department staff will raise money and awareness for Special Olympics by subjecting themselves to the frigid waters of Round Lake by taking the polar bear plunge. Law enforcement throughout Minnesota has had a long-standing partnership with the Special Olympics. The Polar Plunge is one event included in its law enforcement torch run. The torch run is a year-round fundraising program in which participants draw attention to Special Olympics Minnesota by gathering pledges, raising funds, and ultimately plunging into icy lake waters.
It's just a slight bit of discomfort for a good cause. You know, the water's cold. You know, most of the time it's when you get out of the water that it's the worst part, because that wind hits you, and then you really feel the coldness.
The number of Spider Pigs has grown each year, and police, fire, dispatch, and reserve personnel are always invited to participate. Our Focus In campaign is underway for the 2nd year. This month, the Edina Police Department reminds drivers that during the month of March, police will focus in on unsafe equipment. Keeping a vehicle properly maintained helps keep everyone traveling on our roadways safer. Inoperable headlights, taillights, signal lights, and horns often go unnoticed by a driver. An officer's friendly reminder may save a life. On behalf of my co-host, Officer Aaron White, and the City of Edina's Public Safety Team, Thanks for tuning in to learn a little bit more of what goes on beyond the badge. Until next time, stay safe.
Beyond the Badge is brought to you by the Edina Crime Prevention Fund.